the language of the Old Testament. Well, originally.
Yeah.
That is Aramaic or Aramaic, what they say. The New Testament is
whatever you want
Aramaic
to call it.
and, well, mainly Greek.
Whatever that language is called, whatever you want to call it, that language is a byproduct of what is you could say a subcompartment of the language of Abraham. So whatever the language of Abraham was, his sons developed that language, which is commonly referred to as Hebrew. You can call it whatever you want, but which is the language of the Old Testament. And then you had the sister language, one of the sister languages of that language, which is Arabic.
Right.
So that's why you'll find there's a lot of continuity between the two languages, like Salam and Shalom, for example, like you were mentioning, right?
Yeah.
But there's also like a Nevi and Nebi and so on. And obviously the letters are very much similar, if not very much. There's a lot of continuity before the like Alif and Alif and Mem and Mim and Mem, Dalit and Dal, and so on.
I go back to the Quran thing. So who decided to put the Quran in book form? Do you know?
So that's a very beautiful question. So the Quran itself says, "Inna alayna jama'ahu wa Qur'ana." That to us, i.e. God is speaking now, is its composition, i.e. its composition, and its recitation. So with this and the fact that the Quran refers to itself as kitab itself, which means book, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, it was understood by the early generation that the Quran is one book. It should be compiled in one book form. So when did that originally happen? Obviously at the time of the Prophet Muhammad himself, it was written, it wasn't compiled and put into book format until Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who immediately preceded him. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he put it into, he told Zayd and others, like he made a council to put it into book form, and in that process of putting it into book form, he got the Sahaba, some of the Sahabas that were the Qurra, which were the reciters and memorizers of the Quran, to come together and to agree that this is exactly how we heard it from the Prophet. So when they put it in that order and when they wrote it all down, that was an agreement among them that okay, this was how we heard it from the Prophet.
So that book which they compiled straight after the Prophet died,
yes,
is still available now?
Yes. Because there was a second council. Because what happened was when Islam spread at the time of Uthman ibn Affan, there was a second council that happened because people started writing their own books. So you had the standardized Quranic Mus'haf of Zayd, of Abu Bakr's time. And then after that, when there was a proliferation of the Islamic Empire and power, so certain people from different non-Arab tribes, obviously their language skills were not as good, so they started writing the Quran and they started writing it with mistakes. Now the issue was, if you write the Quran with mistakes and people further generations get a hold of that book, they could treat it potentially as the actual word of God. So what Uthman Affan did, he said, bring all those books together and burn them. We don't want any mistake in the book of God.
When did it happen? How long after the Prophet did that happen?
So Uthman Affan, he was around 30 years after the Prophet Muhammad. So about 25 years to 30 years after the Prophet Muhammad.
So,
yes.
So now the Quran of Abu Bakr,
two years after. So right after the Prophet Muhammad.
That's still available.
Yeah. So the one of Abu Bakr is that one.
That was under the bed.
Yeah, under the bed of Hafsa. Yes, he knows. So what happened was. Pardon? Yeah. So it was gathered and they just made sure that everything corresponded to that particular reading at the time of Uthman 25 years later. So and that's why you'll find even now the Sana'a manuscript of the Yemeni manuscript is actually carbon dated. So not only do we have the
I don't believe in carbon dating. So.
Yeah, but they got that as well. I don't believe in it as well either. We don't use it as a method of preservation, but it's there. It's carbon dated to 651.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the Quran which Abu Bakr compiled, did it have the vowel marks in it?
No. Those ones that have vowel marks in it. So as we said, the vowel marks came about 100 years after, maybe more.
And who decided to put the vowel marks in?
I actually believe it was, there was two things that were done. Al-Hajjaj Yusuf al-Thaqafi. So Al-Hajjaj Yusuf al-Thaqafi, he did tajzi' of the Quran to 30 juz. This guy was like a tyrant, but he decided that the Quran is going to be like, okay, this is how we're going to read it, like into 30 juz or divide it into 30 juz, but it was the same content. And he also put the violation marks because Islam started spreading too much into different areas. So he started to put those kind of like linguistic stabilizers for the people to be able to read it.
But the rasm was the same.
The rasm was the same, so the font and the writing and all that kind of stuff was the same.
Do you know what's rasm? You don't know maybe what's Rasim.
No.
Sorry, the Rasim is the written.
Is that why you get like the Dulu Quran, the Walsh Quran, and the House Quran?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one thing which keeps me baffled as well.
Yeah.
The honor and king verse. Surah. Where
Pardon?
I'm the honor, he's the honor of the day,
Yeah.
the king of the day.
Yeah.
Which word was revealed to Muhammad?
Both. So honor and king were both revealed to Muhammad, yeah? So what we have is we have 10 Qurra. Qurra are the reciters of the Quran, yeah? Now them 10 Qurra were the ones who testified with chains of narration which were mass transmitted up to the Prophet Muhammad that this is the way that they heard it. And they had the written form, the written book, in order to read it like that. Now, the word Malik in Arabic is spelled Mim, Alif, Lam, Kaf. Yeah, so it's 4 letters. Now the thing is, the way it's actually written in the Mus'haf, in the Quran, is Mim, Lam, Kaf, with what you call an Alif Khanjariya, which means that it's the lexical item is facilitative of the two readings. And it was intentionally made to facilitate as much of the readings as possible, because obviously we know that the Quran on selective words have 2 ways in which you can recite it.
I understand
Is that word masculine or feminine?
Masculine. Malik is masculine.
Malik
Yeah, it's masculine.
is masculine.
Yeah.
Yes, Malika
I think you need
is
to check
feminine. Malika is a
Yeah,
feminine.
Malika
so
is feminine, but
it's
Malik is
masculine.
masculine, yeah.
Both.
How both?
Both
there's
are
only one,
masculine.
innit?
Malik and Malik is both.
There's only one, isn't it?
What does it sound for
So
feminist?
now
No, but let him ask us.
you're saying Malik.
He's not asking it like a. He's not
Yeah,
just
say
asking.
you're
it's
asking
masculine,
Malik.
it's feminine.
You're saying Malik and Malika is 2 different words, yeah?
Yeah, but that's not the 2 that we're talking about. We're talking about Malik and Malik.
Masculine and
Yeah,
feminine.
so I'm saying, so you're saying that Malik and Malika is the masculine.
So
and the
Malika,
feminine.
Malika is the feminine version of Malik, sort of Malik.
Right.
And Malika is the feminine version of Malik.
So what's most written? Is it Malika or Malik?
Now, there's only one thing that's written, either Malik or Malik. There's no feminine version of that. That's written.
So that's what I'm saying.
It's a feminine word then.
It's a feminine word.
No,
then.
it's masculine.
That's not
There's
what I've been told by scholars.
There's no term marbuta.
Sorry.
So you're saying it's been made masculine?
No, it's a feminine.
But
the
Malik.
principle in it is feminine. It's not.
What Malik? So
Yeah.
why is there no term marbuta then?
That's why there's vowels in there. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, but if it was,
The vowels are not only for linguistic, yeah. It also gives masculine and feminine.
No,
This is what I'm saying. There's not 2 different words.
No,
I
because-
agree with you. Do you know what I'm saying?
There's 2 kinds of masculine word
Right.
and feminine word. There's something called a ta'nith al-asli and ta'nith al-majazi. So there's 2 kinds of masculinity and femininity in the Arabic language. Yeah, one of them is what has to be identified by what you call the ta at the end of it, which is actually a ha. So it's literally one letter like that. Yeah, and the other one is a word in its essence which is treated as if it's a feminine word. Like for example, the word shams.
I know, but we think we're going too far here.
But that's like saying I agree. That's like saying Allah
Exactly.
and Alat.
Good point. Yeah.
I know.
Right? So Alat is the female, yes? Principle.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So
Okay,
yeah, I can agree
my
with
thing,
that.
yeah, you're all going to text, but when the Prophet called the Quran, it was recitation in it. It wasn't written, he was
No
saying it
text,
out.
yeah.
So there was nothing saying, okay, write it like this. He wasn't saying write it like this, he was just saying it. So
Yes.
what word did he say?
Malik and Malik.
They could have said one. He had to say one word.
No, he didn't say what, because there was not one occasion where he was reciting the Quran. So if he recited the Quran 10 at different occasions and he said the word Malik 5 times and Malik 5 times, then both of them are the word of God, isn't
What
it?
word was revealed to him though?
Both.
The verse was revealed twice.
The same verse was revealed more than, like, he was recited 100 times,
No, no,
1,000
no, no.
times, 1,000,000 times.
How many times was the verse revealed?
What, 1 time.
So one time you said one word was said.
But when the angel came, because there's a hadith on this actually, yeah? There's a hadith that says that Prophet Muhammad is Bukhari, right? Prophet Muhammad asked the angel to make the Quran as facilitative as possible for as many tribes as possible.
I know, I'm not getting all that, but I just want to get down to the
Yeah,
word.
so
was
that
revealed.
word was revealed, obviously, that particular verse, that one verse, was revealed in 2 different forms, Malik and Malik.
So it was revealed twice.
Yeah, in essence, that word, there was 2 revelations, one with the word Malik and the other one with the word Malik.
I've got delivered for these two revelations.
Yeah, because in the Bukhari, it says that he asked the angel to reveal it in as many facilitative forms as possible, and the angel basically replied to him that he will do that. So the dalil is that he asked God to do it, and God responded to his dua, his supplication.
So God didn't know that the people would know. Muhammad asked God to do it.
But lots of things that God knows everything, right? God knows all things. But the Prophet Muhammad's remit was to make dua and ask for those things, and then God would grant those things afterwards.
That's what Muhammad was asking, was God didn't know?
God knows, yeah.
No, if God knew, he would have done it.
No, there's lots of things that God knows, but we, like for example, in my day-to-day life, in your day-to-day life, God knows what's going to happen to me, but He wants to see us make dua and supplication. You know, that's part of the Islamic ethos, so that He's testing us to see how we respond to certain challenges.
But to say something that, but giving a revelation,
if you want to.
giving a revelation,
It's a Bukhari.
people
Quran يجيب لي
for the
Muslim.
salvation.
Sahih Muslim. Yeah.
Bukhari or Muslim.
This is the problem.
No, you read it.
This is the problem we're having.
Yeah.
The problem we're having is like
Bukhari
with
Muslim.
like the word Islam and words like Muslim. You see, what we're using
Yeah.
is the biblical interpretation. We should say, or I wouldn't say biblical or Quranic interpretation, rather than what the actual word means, which I find very strange.
What do you mean?
Do you get what I'm saying? So you can say what Muslim is to be a Muslim.
Submit to will to God.
Right.
Yeah.
Too many words to explain one word.
Well, that's because the Arabic language is much more facilitative and rich than the English language.
No, I don't think that's what it is.
That's oxymoron.
I don't think that's what
That's
it
a
is.
big oxymoron. If one language is richer, so have one word for one thing. So have one word for 5 things. Don't make sense.
Well, in Arabic, it makes a lot of sense.
But I mean, that's oxymoron. See, that makes sense.
You're saying
Why?
That's not richer. That's poorer language.
Muslim
No, but then one word, like
word is
5
one
words
thing. No, that's
equals
the
one in
will
Arabic.
of Allah.
One for one.
Why
too
should
many
it be like
words.
that?
That's it.
Too
That's
many
simple.
words. You understand? That's why I said it's a biblical or a Quranic interpretation.
But what's the
of
problem?
what the word means?
I don't get the issue.
Then it's
there.
not what the word
Someone's
means.
interpretation.
It's an interpretation.
Someone changed
It's
the
an
word.
innovation.
So the word says this.
I don't know if it's an innovation because of the Quran itself.
But if the word
Okay,
means this,
why did you not say surrenderer then?
Okay, fine.
What's the word mean?
I like that.
Right, thank you.
It is used.
You have a
for
choice.
now.
Translate as a choice,
Okay,
right?
now we've got choices. You understand?
Yeah, translation.
It's
translate as
submit
choice.
to the will of Allah
or surrender to the will of Allah.
or surrender in its actual terms. But this is modern Arabic. In actual Arabic that Arab people speak or African people speak in different parts of Africa, you know,
Yeah.
you don't have to be a Muslim to speak Arabic, yes?
Yeah, of course
Or no? So when I ask these people linguistically, what
Yeah.
does the word Muslim mean? They'll
surrender.
say peacemaker.
It means
And makes sense because Islam is peace, yes or no?
Yeah.
Right. So to be a Muslim, yeah, or salam, yeah, because the is action, yes,
Yeah, it's
it's action, yes.
It's the one that's doing it.
It's the dua.
It's the
Thank
dua.
you.
Yeah.
And in salam, well, yeah, the rest is here.
But he
But
is
it's more- it's-
peace
it's
without
Maker,
door of submission to God. It has the two meanings.
peacemaker,
No problem at all.
peacemaker. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
somebody was to say,
And also submitted
let's go to
God.
the biblical. Let's go to the Bible now. Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense because the prophet Isa alayhi salam is going to make reference, yeah, that the people who come in the future, yeah, he's predicting now, yeah. His prediction is that blessed be the what? Peacemakers. What is peacemaker? Muslim. So it's telling you, he's telling you that there are going to be people in the future
Yeah,
of God who are
something about
Muslims.
it. Yeah, I mean, we're not denying the
What do you are? You are
Yeah, yeah.
denying it because you're saying it's to submit to the will of Allah
Okay. Now,
or surrenderer,
now the word.
which doesn't,
Okay.
you know?
Good.
You got what I'm saying?
But
You know
really,
the word
it's
ayn?
Islam though. It's what it is
It
that
has like 10 meanings,
All right.
and it is one word. Ayn. For example.
10 minutes. There's 10 meanings.
Yeah.
one word.
One word, yeah.
10 minutes
Makes
for
no
one.
sense.
So if you can,
Yes.
okay, so if
Linguistically, it doesn't.
Yes, I can explain if
The
you want.
problem.
I can understand it.
Yes.
No.
It's Ali.
So you put this one word. You put this one word
Yeah.
with 10 meanings on a paper. When I read it, it's
too much.
How do I know what it's meaning?
Okay.
No, it's not
You
10
need
words.
to learn the skill of the language.
خلاص
to master the
حتصعب لهم الامر
What can I do?
No, I'm asking. One word there, it's got 10 meanings. What do I choose?
Okay, so
context.
this is in every language, by the way.
You will get the meaning
It's
from
in
the
my
context.
Yeah, it is. Okay, shall I give you an example? If I write the word Polish, how are you gonna recite? How are you gonna read that? Polish, yeah. But if I said he, if I say write the same word Polish, and now, yeah, in English. All right, my shoe. How are you going to read it now?
But English is a dumb language. Everyone knows this.
Polish, innit? So there are homonyms and there are words that basically sound the same and written differently, like lie, and there are words that have the same spelling and different meaning. And so look, this is every. No, it can happen, man.
It's too much. 10's a lot.
The word safe in Arabic has.
Arab and English and languages were made up.
The point is that language was never meant to be read in a vacuum.
Arab language was made up. Arabic language is made up of many languages because it was a trade area where the language developed. There's some people between different languages. We had to develop words which everyone could understand.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's how Arabic was built up. That's like English is made up of many languages: Latin, French, German.
Yeah.
So people can from everywhere understand certain words and pick up it quite easily. That's how it is.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing rich about it or nothing.
Well, I don't know. What would you define as rich? Because for me, what I define.
One word, one meaning.
But that's not rich though. That's quite one-dimensional for me.
That's not one-dimensional.
Yeah, it's a one word. If you could do one more, it's multifunctional. If you could do.
Sense.
If you could do more with one, then that's
what I mean.
Deep though.
Yeah. You know what I mean. There's no mistaking it. No conjecture.
Yeah.
So
but you can know what you mean with one word. But if that one word is used in another context, you might mean something completely different.
It's confusing.
Yeah?
So you're trying to say it's Confucius?
There's no confusion.
Well, every language has these layers.
It's bunch of language, one word, one thing.
If you learn the language, you know.
One word. If only things were that straightforward, but
Very straightforward.
the thing is, look. The thing is, what is language? What is language meant to convey? It's meant to convey signal, right? It's meant to communicate with people, innit? The thing is, in everyday life, there's an infinite amount, right? And I use the word potentially, not actually. There's an infinite amount of possibilities. And if you have that kind of one-dimensional approach to a language, then what will end up happening is that when it comes to conveyance, you'll be limited in your scope. Actually, the best kind of language is that which is most facilitative in its meaning. So if it has one word that can be used flexibly, right, and it has a scope of meanings, which means that it can fit into different contexts, then the functionality of language...
You've got more options to suit your narrative, basically.
Absolutely. So you can use that word, you know what I'm saying, in different options. So if language is meant to fulfill a communicative functionality, then the more a word can facilitate, the stronger that language is, in my opinion. If it's not meant for that purpose, then obviously you can say one word, one meaning. This is like a computer science type approach to language. Because in computer science, if the one word had different meanings, the computer would just say, I don't know, I don't get it.
Yeah, but the computer is not as complex as mind.
But the thing is, there's a difference between human beings and computers. Say again?
No, the computer is not as complex as the mind. You know that, don't you?
No, but it works in terms of like forms,
That's
isn't
why
it?
it's limited.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Exactly, right?
When I'm talking to you, our
yeah.
brain can compute more than the computer.
But you see like JavaScript and that stuff there, like Python, and which I tried to study for a while, you know, so it's very difficult. You know, and even Excel, you know, they have statements like if statement, this and that. Like if equals this, and then put it in brackets or whatever. If you tell the computer something which is could mean more than one thing, it's just going to say, I don't get it.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we could imagine if we communicated with each other like in JavaScript terms, how dull and how one-dimensional language will be. There'll basically be no poetry. Your poetry would be impossible because all we'd have to be doing is linear communication. You know what I'm saying? Of yes, one meaning is you get it. So the stronger a language, the more it can facilitate in its meaning, rather than it's limited in its meaning. Because you'd have to have more words. For example, in the English language, by the way, people don't realize that the English language has about 800,000 words.
Because you've got many languages in one language.
Yeah, that's right as well. But do you know there's another reason as well. Do you know why that is? Because each individual word is quite weak. So it can only fit into certain contexts. So you need more of those words in order to make sense of the world. But in other languages where languages are much more narrowed down and are not amalgamated by different kind of other composite forms, then you don't need as many words in order to convey a message. And that's why the Prophet Muhammad, he said in a beautiful hadith, he said that "Utit jawami' al-kalim," which is a beautiful hadith. He says, I was given the brevity and conciseness in speech. In other words, I will speak in minimal format and it will convey a rich array of different meanings. And the Arabs say, خَيْرُ الْكَلَامِ مَا قَلَّ وَدَلَّ. The best kind of speech is that which is abbreviated but gets straight to the point. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So
that's why our brother called himself. That's why our brother called himself Kalam.
For me, the problem is, yeah.
You didn't see the science of it.
For me, the problem is,
me and Kalam are from the same school of thought.
For me,
that's why he did it.
For me, the problem is, yeah. if I'm being told that this is the word of Allah, it's what Allah said, I want to know the word exactly said, not what it could have meant or what it didn't mean. I want to know the definite word he said.
Yeah, okay, so the Quran gives us a formula for that. In chapter 3, verse number 7, it says, مِنْهُ آيَاتٌ مُحْكَمَاتٌ هُنَّ أُمُّ الْكِتَابِ وَأُخَرُ مُتَشَابِهَاتٌ. So it says that the Quran itself has two kinds of verses. The ayat, the verses which are foundational, and they are muhkam, which means that they are not open to interpretation, and other ones which are ambiguous in nature, which means that they are facilitative of different meanings. So the Quran gives us, he tells us, فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ
Does it tell you which verse is ambiguous, which one is
it tells you, yeah.
Exactly, which one? Everyone.
Pardon?
This is ambiguous, this is not. This is ambiguous.
That's a really good question. So the question is, do we know, is there a full agreement on the verses that are ambiguous and the ones that are not ambiguous? And the honest answer is, to some extent. For example,
how can it be some extent?
I'll explain. So, for example,
Like it's like saying, for example, it's like saying the Adam story.
Yeah.
Is that 100% fact, or is there parts that are ambiguous?
No. There's, first of all, the verse continues. It says, فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ زَيْغٌ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ مَا تَشَابَهَ مِنْهُ ابْتِغَاءَ الْفِتْنَةِ وَابْتِغَاءَ تَأْوِيلِهِ. So it says that those who want to try and create corruption or deviance, they'll find those ambiguous verses and follow them, that they're trying to create fit like corruption and so on, and confusion. And the ones who don't, they say this is all from God. And it says, وَمَا يَذَّكَرُ إِلَّا أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. Yeah. So the people of knowledge will know. Yeah. And Allah knows the verses. Now the point is this: is that there are some verses which no Muslim would ever disagree on. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ is one of them, which is to say God is one and only. No Muslim will say, no, I'm Muslim, but I believe in 2 gods or 3 gods or Trinity, for example. Yeah. Because it's very clear, it's like straight to the point. In fact, the word ahad, this word itself, is even more concise and more detailed than the word wahid, which means one. Because ahad means one and only, there's no possibility for a second. It's cutting out all the other possibilities with that one word. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, there's one and only, there's no more.
So one word is 2 words, one and only.
2 meaning.
One and only, right? So as ahad, there's no more than this. You can't say ahad and then thani. You can't. It's not possible. It's not, cardinally, because usually in language you have cardinal and ordinal numbers. So 1, 2, and 3 are ordinal. First, second, and third are cardinal, right? You can't say that there's a second to an ahad. You can say that there's a second to a wahid, but it's not possible to say that for an ahad. So it's cutting up all the possibilities.
So that means one.
Ahad means one and only. It's only one. One without the possibility of a second.
The only reason you would make that statement because there is not one and only. That's the only reason you would make that.
What do you mean?
No, to say I am the only one and only, that's an instruction. You know what I'm saying? It's an instruction.
It says, say He is what Allah one and only.
Yeah, that's an instruction. You're giving people an instruction or giving somebody in a sense
information.
To say, this is what you must focus on rather than other things that you can focus on. Because to say that these idol worshippers are not worshipping a form of God, you understand?
Yes.
It might not be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it might be Allah to them.
So exactly. So he's telling you that all of those other things are not God, right? This is the only way. He is the one and only, right? So the idea is, when you have certain verses like that which are not open for interpretation, that's what we should base our religion on. The things which are clear cut and have no, what you call لا يحتمل التأويل, which is not facilitative of any interpretation.
That's why I asked if the Adam story,
the only true God.
That's why I asked if the Adam story can be considered ambiguous, to know that the Creator created Adam with his hands from clay or a clock, and blah blah blah. We know the story, yes, baked and blah blah blah, and then blew the ruhi into the soul of Allah into that creation. It's all a process, yes?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now my thing is, I cannot demean the Creator. So for me, it's ambiguous. It must be an analogy. It cannot be real or physical because people are not created this way. And we cannot be related to this individual who is 9 feet tall, doesn't have a belly button, and was created from the dust of the ground.
We don't know if he might have had a belly button.
How would he have a belly button? For what purpose?
No, he don't look. The thing is, Allah might have created him with a belly button. No, not umbilical cord, just a belly button. Why not?
Okay, but
He was created.
It could have been like that.
You are born. I am born. He's born. Everyone here is born by their mother.
So now-
my point is, this individual, this.
But on every theory, though, frankly, on every theory that is out there, there was a first man. Yeah.
I hear that, but I'm saying even that
evolutionary
is
theories,
ambiguous.
even they say that there was a first man.
Even that is ambiguous.
Yeah, so
It's
we're
ambiguous,
saying
isn't
that first man, the way God, what's ambiguous about it is the kayfiyah, which is how God did that.
Okay.
Like what you're imagining with all those kind of like maybe like motion graphics in your mind, that might be in your mind. It's not the way it happened, maybe, yeah.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say.
But we affirm the words of God, but with the kayfiyah, how it happened, that's an imagination that we don't need to get into. We just affirm the words of God. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
So then, what about Adam's parents? What are we going to do?
So
about that?
we don't believe in Adam's parents.
This is my point.
Why?
If you have all the text, all the original text, remember the word Adam, Adama, is a Sumerian word, so we know where the origin of this idea of Adam, of the reddish brown ground, Adama, of the soil, came from. So we have to go linguistically.
So what do you
we go
believe?
to the
What's your-
Sumerians.
what's your-
Sumerians is last 5 minutes.
So what's-
3,500 years ago, Sumerian.
Yeah, okay.
So
No,
Adam cannot be.
What-
Hold on one second.
Yeah, sorry.
Adam cannot be 3,500 years old.
No, we don't
There's a
believe that.
problem here.
We don't believe that he was
You understand?
3,500 years
Egypt
old.
is 10,000.
No, I don't think so, man.
Right.
I don't think so.
The biblical, the whole biblical accounts, according to Muslim, Christian, and Jew,
We don't agree with the
6
Bible
to
on this.
8,000 years
We don't
old.
agree. We don't follow the Bible.
You still looking at us. You're still looking at. So in the
We don't
creation of
follow the
Adam,
Bible on this one.
according to the time, biblical
we don't have-
time,
we don't have time,
and
so-
Quranic time, would mean that Adam was created in a time when pyramids were in the background.
No, we don't. Well, by the way, for us, we don't have that though, because we don't have a timeline for when Adam was created. So even if the word was not let's
How
say
can we not have a timeline for Adam not created?
when he was created.
So
we don't have
can
that.
name every prophet up to. Hold on, 1 second.
Yes.
You said 25 prophets are named from
Yes.
Adam down to the prophet, peace be upon him. Yes.
That's right.
Right, and we say there's 144,000 or
24, yeah.
right, 24,000.
124,000.
124,000.
Yes.
So 124,000. Yeah,
between.
but we can only pick out 24.
25?
25. Okay, 25. Something's wrong here.
No, it's only 25. I mentioned.
Something's wrong here, and they're all related.
What
Something's
related?
wrong
How?
here. This is a bloodline being discussed.